welcome back to the Stories for Kids. If you are listening this from my podcast, please like and share with your friends and family. And if you are watching this in my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. Today, our first story from the Panchatantra stories is The Clever Farmer. Once, a farmer had a goat, a bundle of grass, and a lion. He had to cross a river on a small boat, which could carry only two of them at a time. The farmer was in a fix. If he takes the lion first, then the goat would eat up the grass in his absence. If he takes the grass, the lion would eat up the goat. At last, he found the perfect solution. Kids, can you guess what is the solution? If you can guess it, send it to then you can send me a mail at contact@creativethinkingacademy.com. And if your answer is correct, then I will give you a surprise gift. So let's see what he did. He first took the goat and left it on the other side of the river. Then he took the lion on his second round. He left the lion and brought the goat back. Leaving his goat on this side, he took the bundle of grass. He left the grass with the lion and returned to take the goat in the end. Thus, he crossed the river without any loss. The next story is The Buck and the Doe. There lived a lovely doe with a soft red-brown fur and wide bright eyes. One day she was grazing in the forest when a young mountain buck saw her and fell in love with her. He started following the doe around day and night. Once he followed the doe to the village despite being warned of the possible danger. But the love-struck buck didn't pay attention to the warning. After walking a few steps, the doe sensed that a man was hiding nearby. Fearing that there could be a trap, she let the buck go first. There was a trap, indeed, and the hunter killed the buck. His infatuation led him to his death. Infatuation gives one a false feeling of happiness at first, but leads to sadness in the end. So this is also a very good learning for you. The next story is The Foolish Crane and the Crab. Once a big banyan tree was home to a number of cranes in a forest. There also lived a cobra in the hollow of the tree. The cobra would feed on the young cranes. One day, when the mother crane saw the cobra killing her offspring, she began to cry. Her wails caught the attention of the crab. He asked her, "Why are you crying?" The crane told him everything and requested him to show her some way to get rid of that heartless cobra. The crab thought to himself, "These cranes are our born enemies. I shall give her an advice that is misleading." So the crab advised the crane, "Stew pieces of meat from the mongoose burrow near the cobra's home. The mongoose will follow the trail of meat and will kill it." The crane followed the advice. The mongoose came and killed not only the cobra but also all the cranes on the tree. That is why they say you should never listen to the advice of others unless you know they are your friends. So this is also very good learning. Whenever you will feel some problem, you have to go to your friends for asking the help. The next story is The Donkey and the Washerman. Once there lived a poor washerman who had a donkey. The donkey was very thin because he got very little to eat. One day the washerman came across a dead tiger skin. He thought, "I will put the tiger skin on the donkey and let him graze in the wheat field at night. The farmers will mistake him for a tiger and do nothing. The donkey can eat their crops at night. They would be too terrified to throw him out." The washerman immediately put his clever plan into action, and it worked for a few days. But one night, while the donkey was busy eating in the field, he heard a female donkey braying at a distance. He became so excited that he couldn't help braying loudly in reply. His foolish act led the farmers to him. They beat up the donkey. So it never right to pretend to be what you are not. The next story is The Hunter and the Rabbit. Once a cruel hunter would catch rabbit and feast upon their meat. One day he caught a rabbit. On the way home, the hunter met a saint. The saint asked the hunter to free the rabbit and get blessed for the good deed. The hunter not only refused but decided mercilessly to cut the throat of the rabbit then and there, right before the saint. He took out a sharp knife from his bag, but when he tried to cut rabbit's neck, the knife slipped from his hand and fell on his foot, severely injuring him. He instantly cried out in pain and released the rabbit. The hunter paid the price for his sins. Since his foot was very badly injured, he could not walk and hence could not hunt ever again. The next story is how a sparrow came to grief. A sparrow made a beautiful nest under a big tree. One day it rained heavily. A monkey got completely drenched in the rain and, shivering from the cold, came rushing to the tree for cover. Feeling sorry at the monkey's condition, the sparrow said, "You seem to be an able animal. Why didn't you build a house so that you could shelter yourself from the rain and cold?" Irritated, the monkey said, "Why don't you shut up and mind your own business?" The monkey thought to himself, "I must teach her a lesson if she doesn't stop advising me." Turning to the female sparrow, the monkey said, "Haven't you heard the saying that you should only offer advice to those who seek it?" But the sparrow persisted with her advice. The monkey climbed up the tree and destroyed her nest. So this is also very important lesson, kids. You should only give advice who are seeking it. The next story is the crow and the oyster. One day, a hungry crow found an oyster on the beach. In order to eat the tasty meat inside, he tried to break open the oyster. The oyster didn't open. He then tried to use his beak to take out the meat, but failed to open the shell. Then he hit the oyster with a stone, but it remained shut. Meanwhile, another cunning crow came by and said, "My friend, the oyster will not open the way this way. I advise you to take the oyster in your beak and fly high to the air and then drop it onto the rock below. Only then it will break open." The hungry crow decided to heed the other crow's suggestion. The crow flew up with the oyster and it broke open as the crow dropped it from the above. But the other crow picked it up and ate the meat inside. By the time the first crow reached there, only the pieces of broken shell were left for him. The next story would be the last story for today, that is the greedy crow. Once a pigeon made his nest in the basket that hung near the window of a merchant's kitchen. The merchant instructed his cook not to shoo away the pigeon. One day a crow befriended the pigeon so that he could have a chance to enter the kitchen. That day the merchant's cook prepared a delicious dish of fish. When the cook left the kitchen, the crow flew into the kitchen to eat the fish. But the plate covering the dish fell on the floor with bang. The noise was heard by the cook and he rushed into the kitchen. By then, the crow had got hold of a piece of the fish. Seeing the fish in the crow's beak, the cook became furious. He ran and caught the crow by the neck and plucked out his feathers and then threw him out of the window. With that, I am ending today's session. If you like the stories, please share it with your friends and families, and keep listening and keep watching these stories. Thank you. Bye bye.